with more good news for America and for the rest of the world. U.S. biotech firm Moderna releasing data today from large-scale clinical trials showing their vaccine candidate is 94.5% effective in preventing China virus infections. That news comes just a week after another U.S. company, Pfizer, announced its vaccine candidate was more than 90% effective. President Trump today heralding the news and reminding the world that Moderna received $2 billion of taxpayer money to develop that vaccine in his Operation Warp Speed program. The president tweeted this, quote, "Another vaccine just announced, this time by Moderna, 95% effective. For those great historians, please remember, these great discoveries which will end the China plague all took place on my watch, and I would add, under his leadership." The White House says both the Moderna and Pfizer vaccine will be distributed by the end of this year, pending emergency use authorization from the FDA. Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar calls that another major success for President Trump.
This is really a historic day. This is the vaccine that President Trump partnered with Moderna on January 13th at our NIH labs, and now over 90% effective vaccine in one of the largest clinical trials ever. So now we have Pfizer, we have Moderna, and thanks to President Trump's vision, we've been making both of those and 4 other vaccines at commercial scale production. So we believe we'll have enough for 20 million Americans to get vaccinated in December.
Facebook and Twitter CEOs Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey set to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee tomorrow. They will address how their platforms seemingly censored the spread of the New York Post's bombshell report on Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, and the deals he did with companies overseas while his father was vice president. Our next guest sits on the Judiciary Committee, and she will question both CEOs tomorrow. Joining me right now is Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn. Senator, great to have you. Thank you so much for being here this morning. What are your expectations for tomorrow?
My expectations are, first of all, that Jack Dorsey is going to come a little bit more prepared than he was when he appeared before Commerce Committee. Prior to the election, Maria, he looked like Tom Hanks from Castaway, and my hope is he's going to be a bit more forthcoming today. We want to talk with them about Section 230. And liability protections, the way they have censored, the subjectiveness that they put into that censorship, the way they approach content moderation, and the changes that we're prepared to make to Section 230 in order to take away that liability shield from big tech and to preserve it for new entrants like Parler.
Well, you're right. I mean, you know, big tech is clearly as more powerful than anyone has expected when that protection was put in place in the Telecommunications Act of 1996. Okay. But let me ask you, Senator, are you going to have trouble moving this legislation through should Joe Biden become the president? I mean, you know, in the House, I don't think Jerry Nadler necessarily cares if social media is shadow banning and censoring conservatives.
In the House, they're very concerned about antitrust, as are many of the Democrats in the Senate, and they know that there needs to be some guidelines and guardrails put in place for big tech. I really believe that we're going to make headway on this with Section 230 as well as on privacy. And of course, Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook has fought privacy since I started trying to pass the Browser Act 8 years ago. But Maria, here is where we are with these entities. They're now saying, okay, regulate us, because they want to block new entrants. And big tech likes big government. They like big regulation, because it keeps new entrants out. So our goal is going to be this light touch regulation, go after some of the areas that need to be addressed. We also know DOJ has their their suit against Google. You have states' attorneys general who have lawsuits, and you have the FTC that continues to monitor some of this activity. Congress has to take an action on both privacy and Section 230.
Senator, you are urging the Federal Trade Commission to interview former employees of Facebook as part of a probe into whether or not it broke antitrust law. Tell me about that.
Yes. Yes. What we think is valuable to do is go to people like Chris Hughes, who was a co-founder of Facebook, and talk to them about those original premises. Talk to some of these engineers that have left these big tech companies and say, okay, what were they trying to do? What we do know is that big tech has tried to manipulate what we see, what we hear, and then control how we think, and this year, how we voted. You mentioned the story with Hunter Biden. You did not have big tech allowing that to go forward. And the media was a part of this, Maria. And then I've talked to people who never heard this. They said, why didn't I know this? I said, well, you watch CNBC and MSNBC and CNN, so you never heard about it. You didn't see it in your news feed. So we're at a point where these big tech social media platforms have to decide. If they're a news organization, for goodness sakes, hire a news editor. If you're an information system, which is how you are titled, a Title I service under the Telecommunications Act, then you have to be the town square and allow a point and a counterpoint. So this is not what they want to hear, but this is what they're going to get. And we have moved a long way toward bipartisan agreement on this issue over the last 8 years.
Yeah, no, I think you make a great point. They certainly have taken a side. They are not a bulletin board. Yes. Twitter still has, the Ayatollah Khomeini from Iran chanting death to America, and yet he's flagging President Trump repeatedly. Look, all eyes are on the Georgia Senate races set for 2 Senate.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, Twitter censored the president 65 times. Ayatollah 0, Putin 0, Biden 0. It's astounding.
That is astounding. We want to talk about the Senate runoff elections in January, where the balance of power in the Senate will obviously be at stake. Tell me what is at stake if you see Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue not win. The Democrats want to take control. They even want to move there. Andrew Yang is now saying, okay, well, maybe I won't move there just to affect the race, given that it is obviously illegal to do so.
Well, they kind of got their hands slapped on this, telling people to move in, claim Georgia residency, and vote. Here is what we know. Chuck Schumer is definitely on the ballot in Georgia. His agenda of first we take Georgia, then we change America. These two Democratic Senate nominees are the two most radical leftist Senate nominees I have ever seen. You have an Ossoff, a trust fund socialist who has been on the payroll of a Chinese Communist Party-owned company and failed to report it until he got caught. You have Warnock, who is a mentee of Jeremiah Wright. And of course, we all remember Jeremiah Wright is the one who said he was hopeful God would not bless America, that God would damn America. That is not the people of Georgia.
Right. Senator, real quick before you go, are we going to get any stimulus bill in the lame duck session or no?
Nancy Pelosi has said she does not want one. She doesn't want to help people. She wants to bail out blue states. And I think she is very happy with her position because she can go home to San Francisco and sit in front of her double-wide refrigerator freezer and eat all of the ice cream she desires.